With this video, I would like to show you what basic CAD functions are. This is using CAD 13.0 and Carlson software. So to illustrate this, I just want to use some basic commands. So I'm going to start with just the rectangle. The reason for doing this is because I want to draw a particular, using the standard coordinate entry system. I'm going to put in a rectangle, the starting point of 1,000, 1,000, and I'm going to make it a relative using the relative. The first one was absolute coordinate entry. This one is relative coordinate entry. I'm going to go 500, comma 500, and that'll put a rectangle down here. So then the next command that's useful is zoom extents. So Z, enter, and then E for extents over here. I can click it with my mouse, or I can just E, enter. I like the keyboard a lot, so if you get used to using both the keyboard commands and the toolbars, that can speed you up quite a lot. So here's a rectangle. You click on the rectangle, you can see here's some different grips. This is going to be indicative of any CAD. IntelliCAD's the same as AutoCAD this way. You have different grips you can change. Click on this, and you can change the size of the and where this is located. Undo command, U undo, or it's up here at the top. Either one, you can undo whatever you're doing. Now, the next command I want to show is just the regular line command. Line, I can just pick here. With Carlson, it picks wherever I pick, it puts that in the center with the line command. You'll notice also that right now, I'm only able to draw lines that are perpendicular to each other. That's because I have the ortho mode on. Now, you can hit the F8 key, or down in the bottom, down here, you can change this so that it alters the ortho mode is right here, ortho mode on or off. But now you can see kind of got a rubber band effect going here. I can set this at any angle that I want to. So I'm going to draw another line over here. You can also just enter that command again. Each one of these now are separate lines. Whereas a polyline, let me just show you that one. Command is PL for polyline. You can go here, here, and so on, and draw a line, and they're all going to be connected. Now, in this case here, and particularly with polylines, I like using the CL command over here for close. It means that it's actually going to find the beginning. If you did it all in sequence, it's going to find the beginning of it and close out the polyline. In Carlson, close is different than snapping to it. So you can use an object snap to the endpoint over here, and I'll talk about object snaps in a second. But close is the best way to go. Then you always know you have a closed polyline. So now you see I click on this, and it acts like one whole element. The whole polyline does. Whereas this line here, these are separate elements. You can tell by the grips. I can pick on this and go out however I want to here, or click on this one and extend it like so. So some more lines you can do, just separate lines. I'm going to go a line here, and then maybe a line over here. And it jumps around a little bit only because when you're using the line command in Carlson, they do that for your convenience because we use a lot of lines, and it's just keeping it in the center. So that's how the line command works. A rectangle is that way. Circle, let's draw a circle. So we go circle, C is the hotkey for that. And in IntelliCAD, they call them quick keys, but it's the same kind of thing. It's basically an alias command. So short keys. So this is C for circle. And the first thing you do is just wants to know where the center of the circle is, and then the radius. So you can actually key in a distance. So I can put in 50 feet. And it gives me a circle that is 50 feet in diameter. Now click on this and go over here to properties. And you can see there that the circle is 50 feet. The radius is 50 feet, and it's a 100-foot diameter circle. And so on. So I can draw another circle here, another way. So it doesn't matter. Circle, so you can go this way, draw it however I want to, graphically, or keying in a particular one, like I said. Now, another thing you can do with these, I'm going to draw a line from here. I'm going to snap. You see the red that comes up here? This is an object snap, or what IntelliCAD calls entity snap. It's the same thing as object snap in AutoCAD. And you roll over top of this. This is going to seek the end point. I don't have to be all zoomed up on here to get to the end. In fact, you'll never actually get to the actual end without using entities or object snaps. So I'm going to roll over, I can just roll over this part of it here, see, and it's going to snap to the end of that line right there. Or I can over here and it'll snap to the end of that line. At some point, I'm going to roll over here and it'll snap to the other end. You can see the snapping over here on this side over here. The important thing with object snaps is you don't have to be zoomed up. You can actually know what you're going to get. I know that I'm going to snap to the end of that line right there. It tells me endpoint. It found it. I'm going to click with the left button, and it snapped to the end of that line. I can do the same over here and do the same and repeat the command. I just hit the enter key. I have my mouse set up according to the options that was on another video. Settings, I can change it so I just have to hit the right button on my mouse, and it repeats the previous command. So I can click on this, snap to here, and go and snap up to here. Now I've got this, that's the actual center of the square. So at this point I can draw a circle. Here's the intersection. You see I've got an object snap set to intersection. Click on that and put a circle right in this exact center of this. So you can actually do very precise construction or drawing construction with the object snaps. Down here on the right-hand side, on the lower right-hand side of the icons, I want to click on this to show you real quick. Hit the right button, you go to Settings. Before I do that, though, you can see intersection is set, node is set. This is for selecting points, and then endpoint. So those are the three that I've got. If I want to change this, I can do that right here. I can clear all and just get node if I'm just doing a bunch of points, or I can do all three of them like I had. And then I've got, or whatever ones I want to. But then it's going to be in the settings, so that means it's going to show up all the time. There'll be more on object snaps in other lessons. So going through that now, I've also want to show you now how you can start selecting objects. I've just been drawing objects, but now I want to select some stuff. So the only time you need to select something is when you're actually going to do some kind of edit on it. So I've selected something here by clicking on it. That was that rectangle. I can click on this circle. You can see here, the center of the circle. I can move this around if I want to. Click on the grips. That's very handy. I can click on this grip and make the circle larger or smaller, whatever I want to do with that. So that's one way of selecting it and using the grips to actually manipulate the lines and so on. At this point, that's one way of doing it. The other way is doing if I'm going to be in a command, and you can do this either before or after the command, but I'm going to do it before. I'm going to hit the erase command, E for erase. And I'm going to just pick on this line right here, or pick on this line, that polyline, okay? So now I hit the enter key, and those are gone. I don't like that. I'm going to undo that. U, enter, and those come back. Then I can also hit, and so that's how erase works. Now we'll do, let's do the move command. So I go M for move, and I can pick on this line here, and I can move it down somewhere else. I can copy it, CO for copy. I can go from here to here. You can also pick and move and copy a particular distance. So I can copy here. I can go, I want to copy this from the endpoint right here, and I want it to snap to the endpoint over here. Okay, or I can copy or move, either one of these, copy from here, and I want to go from that endpoint, I want to go a certain distance up or down. So I can go at, using the relative system, 25. Now let's make it a little bit bigger. 100, comma, it's going to be X, so it's going to go 100 to the right. And I want to go 300, or minus 300, excuse me, minus 300. So my line should end up from there. It should end up down here somewhere like this. Hit the enter key, and there it is. It showed up right there. So that's where you can copy or move something to an exact location by putting in actual values, or by copying and using the snaps or object snaps. So that's those commands. Another command that's very useful and that we use all the time is the fillet command. So F for fillet. And then I'm just going to click on this line right here and this line here, and it brings those two together and cuts off this and brings. So that's very good for doing things like bringing lines to an actual point. I can also do a fillet with a radius. So R for radius, and I can click on this and go put in a particular radius. So I can put in a 50-foot radius, for example. And I go from this line right here to this one over here. and it gives me a 50-foot radius. Cuts everything off and creates a radius on that. I can do the same thing up here. So I can fill it again, just repeat the command, do a radius, and put a 30-foot radius in there. And we'll go from here to here. So now put a radius in that. The reason I went to 30 is because it looked like I wasn't going to be able to get a 50-foot in there. And if it can't get it to work between the two lines you're doing, which have to be non-parallel lines, then it will actually not be able to function. It'll say the radius is too big. So that's how the fillet command works. Another command that's very useful is offset. We use this extensively. So O for offset, and the first thing it wants to know is the distance. Now I can actually tell it, okay, I want to go this kind of distance from here to this intersection, that distance right there, horizontally distance, it goes from there. So now I can pick on this line right here and offset it. It wants to know which side of the line I want to offset to. Pick on that. So it offset that exact distance from there to there and go from here. So that's useful. Or I can do an O and say I only want it to be 10 feet. So now I can offset this rectangle, for example, 10 feet, or this polyline 10 feet out, or 10 feet in, or just a line, or a circle. So offset is very, very useful. We use it all the time. Again, if you don't like that, you can undo it. Now let's say when I offset that polyline, it created another polyline. So I've got 3 polylines here. What happens here when you're zoomed out a little bit, it'll select something and it says, I'm not sure which one you've done. So it gives you a choice of picking which polyline you want to do, and it shows you the grips on these. This works very well for selecting the right object if you're too far out. One of the ways of solving that is just zoom in a little bit more. So what I'm trying to show you here is each one of these, I copied an actual polyline. So all 3 of those are polylines now offset from each other. Offset is similar to copy, just you get the exact distance that you want. So we use it quite extensively. So that's how that works. Now I'm going to use the trim command, TR for trim. This is a very useful command as well. Trim works in a couple of different ways. If you hit the enter key, you can now actually goes into a different mode, and it figures out any line that's crossing here. It's going to trim between those. So it's going to trim between those 2 lines there. Now this one here is going to take this line here and this line here, and it will trim out right here. So that's also very useful. Sometimes, though, you want to use a trim command where you want to take out, let's say, everything above a certain area. So I'm going to take out all these lines here above this line. So I'm going to click on this without hitting the enter key first and just select here, hit that line, and then hit the enter key. And then you get into a mode where it's going to take out just the objects that I've done there. So a couple ways of handling the trim command, but very powerful tools, and we use them all the time. Now, I'm getting too zoomed in here, so let me show you a little bit more about zoom. I kind of did this a little bit automatically without explaining it. With my wheel, I can just zoom out here, roll out, and roll towards me, and it goes out, away from me, and it goes in, and zooms in. It seems very, very logical approach there. Also, on the zoom command, if I move my mouse over here and I zoom, it's going to zoom towards that, one way or the other. So now it's clear off the screen. So now I come over here and I go, well, I want to zoom in this. So where you hold your cursor does make a difference on how it zooms. So you have to kind of move your mouse around. You get used to it. Where you're moving your mouse as to where it zooms to. The other one that's always helpful, again, and I did this before, that's Z enter, E enter. This takes everything in the drawing area and zooms it into one location. Or excuse me, into the center of the drawing. So it takes all those objects and puts them all the extents of the drawing and puts them in front of you. These commands then are the ones that I've covered are the ones that we are most used in CAD. And so that's what I wanted to make sure that you understood how to use and how to work with this. One thing that I haven't done yet, I still need to do it, and that is if in the selection, I'll go back to selection. If I want to say erase something or move or whatever edit you want to do, I can erase. Now, if I don't pick on a particular object, like right here, I'm going to pick on this, and it will erase that. Hit the enter key again to repeat the command. Hit the right button on my mouse, which is the same as the enter key. Now I can select it this way. So I can also select with windows. So if I pick out in space out here and I start from the upper right, I get what's called a crossing window. You see it's green, and I can cross over. So it takes anything that I'm crossing over. If I just go across right here, it's going to pick this one, and these two here. Okay, then I can erase those. They're gone. I'm going to undo that, bring those back. I can also do a selection where I'm going to go from the out in space here. I'm not touching any object, and I'm going to go to the right, up from the upper left towards the lower right. And now it's going to pick up anything that is inside of that. So you'll notice what I'm crossing over. There's some things it's not going to pick. So it's not going to pick this area up here because I'm not, it's crossing it, but it's not included in it. So look at the objects that are going to be included in this. So I did that. It's basically going to be this circle and a couple of these lines right here, and that's it. That's all that it did because that was what was inside of the window. So that can be very useful sometimes when I want to go, I just want to get these two lines here. I'm zoomed out a little ways, and I go, I want to do this. So hit the erase command, and I'm going to go here like this. At this point, it's not going to erase anything other than those two lines because those two lines are the only ones that are completely inside of my window. Click on those. Do you see them highlighted there? Hit the Enter key, and I just erase those two lines. So both ways of selecting something can be very useful. I can also just select these two lines here. I can either pick this, or I can go pick up here in the upper left and go towards the lower right. Sorry, upper right and go towards the lower left and just cross over just these two right here. Now I picked just these two. So that's another way of handling selection sets. Now, just one other tip on this. If I'm doing this, like I don't like that one there, I can actually go down here and hit the R for remove, R enter, and remove that out of my selection set, and then hit the Enter key and nothing was selected. So if I hit erase, and I'm going to go, let's erase all these here, and I don't want that circle, I just wanted the hexagons. Okay, so I'm just going to hit R and then enter, and I can take out that circle. Now, the only thing that's going to, in this line right here, the only thing that's going to be picked up now is just going to be that polygon. It's not a hexagon, but the polylines there. Hit the Enter key, and that's what gets erased. Undo that back. So this is how all these CAD commands, these are basic CAD commands. We use them on a regular basis. They're the same in AutoCAD as they are in IntelliCAD. This is a CAD package. It's a CAD engine. All those kinds of things are exactly the same. On another video, I talk about some of the differences between AutoCAD and IntelliCAD, but you could see some of these. There's very few differences, and most people never notice the difference between AutoCAD and IntelliCAD other than these few items I've mentioned. Like the entity command, the entity snaps, as opposed to calling them object snaps. They call them quick keys instead of hotkeys. I mean, these things can all be altered and changed, and this is not a problem to do this and to adjust to what's happening in IntelliCAD with the CAD engine that as it is.